This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Squarespace is an all-in-one platform for entrepreneurs to stand out and succeed online. More on them later. So I got something I got to talk to you guys about. I was literally eating cereal, randomly thinking about the chapter. Not randomly, because we all think about the chapter when we eat cereal. So I'm thinking about a chapter, and so many things crossed my mind after reading Sandman's tweet about Futenraku. It's implied in the chapter, but let me read real quick this tweet and the meaning behind it, and then where it led my thought process to, even doing some research, looking deeper into the story. I'm like, bro, it's obvious what's going to happen next, at least to me, for Zoro, Sanji, and Luffy when it comes to what's next, but also power-ups and maybe just story implications. But hear this. Subscribe to the channel. No, that's not what he tweeted, but subscribe if you haven't looked down. Make sure you subscribe. You watch a lot of videos and realize you're not subscribed. Just subscribe. Either way, like the video too. You ever wonder about how to get your business online without the headache? I did. I tried juggling sites and sales myself, and it was a mess. It took me forever to figure out design, payments, and all that jazz. That's where today's sponsor, Squarespace, steps in. It's a platform that handles design, sales, payments, all in one place. I used it to build a solid site, perfect for growing my work and building my own legacy. Like a captain charting a course. Squarespace uses design intelligence, smart tech that unlocks your creative potential. It built me a professional site, no coding needed. Their payment system manages sales and invoices. Klarna, Apple Pay, you name it, they do it. Squarespace Payments simplifies tracking sales and printing shipping labels. It is a complete setup for any business, whether you're just starting up or scaling up. And with the online store feature, I set it up to sell products seamlessly. It's like having a crew that handles the heavy lifting while I focus on the business. Want to try it? Go to squarespace.com/B.D.A law for a free trial, and you can get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Click the link in the description. It's right on the screen here. Check it out. Now back to the video. Well, this is what Sandman says. Gaba's technique is based on Buddhist term, which refers to the celestial music played by divine beings in heaven. It would translate it as divine axe symphony. Coincidentally, Roger also uses a technique associated with divinity, divine departure. So 2 out of the 3 Roger pirates that we've seen so far, or that we've seen fight so far, they use divine attacks to do with some divinity, celestial, just on a almost astral, right? That is the vibe of their attacks so far. And it got me to thinking, why? We haven't seen Rayleigh use any of these attacks yet, or any named attack, which could be intentional, but I would assume Rayleigh has a divine attack as well. So then I started to think, let me go to the Straw Hats. Because the theme of the Roger Pirates is so far based on their attacks, divine, divinity, all these different things. Let's look at the Straw Hats and see if they have any attacks that relates to divinity or heaven. No. Went through Luffy's. Luffy has an extensive list. Zoro, Sanji's for the most part. They're demons. They're devils. So they have attacks that mostly they deal with the devil. Sanji and Zoro specifically. And if you go even further, you have Robin, etc. Like they, underworld, like Brook, it's like that's the theme of the Straw Hats. We are demons, devils. But then Rayleigh's the outlier with the Roger Pirates because he's the Dark King. So do we have Roger and Scopper using divine attacks and Rayleigh using dark attacks? But I'm like, okay, is this a thing? Is this going to be a thing? Has this been a thing in One Piece? So I started looking into other characters. Okay, let's say Roger and Scopper, they're divine, Rayleigh's dark. Zoro's the king of hell. Let's say Sanji's a sky demon or whatever. What is Oda trying to tell us? Then I go back to Doflamingo. Doflamingo had an attack called 16 Holy Bullets, where it's an attack somewhat around divinity. And I went to some of the other top tiers, and what it led me to was Odin, where Odin had, of course, Enma. Enma's meaning is to cut through the bottom of hell, and you have Amino Habikiri, the feathery cutter of heaven. Then I'm noticing a trend. We have parallels within techniques, within crews, within just motifs, where what if the Roger Pirates are giving us an inclination of that is the next step, where in this world you have demons and you have techniques for demons, but then ultimately have gods and techniques specifically created to cut down the gods. The Straw Hats, they're currently not equipped to fight gods. Right now in Elbaph, now we see IMU even said, I'm going to show you the dominion of a god. It's interesting. It's very interesting because even through the progression of Elbaph, Underworld, Sunworld, something that's not mentioned enough, there is a heaven world. We know next to nothing about. So where I'm going with this is the Straw Hats, Zoro, Sanji, Luffy specifically, and you can include even some other characters. It is almost time for them to learn their divine attacks. Going back to Enma and Ami no Habikiri, made by Sukiyaki, of course, has knowledge on the Nipponic, information and teaching passed down through generations. They are equipping their inheritors with not only the knowledge, but the tools to be able to face whatever may be in front of them, whether it may be that walk on the earth, right? In hell, on earth, or even in heaven. The ones that claim that they are gods. But we know in One Piece, it doesn't matter what type of god you are, you can be brought down. That's why I love the end of Dressrosa so much, because Doflamingo, him going up against Luffy because Luffy was above him, right? So then he uses 16 holy bullets, and then Luffy comes down and sends the god into the ground. I thought it was a beautiful play on just symbolism more than anything. But these gods, currently the Gorosei and Imu, they must be cut down. So now I'm thinking Momonosuke will definitely be at the final war, and he will be using Ami no Habikiri and techniques he probably learns and develops from Ami no Habikiri. I would not be surprised if he's fighting immortal beings, because it seems like we're going there, like a slew of god knights, or just knights in general that are immortal based on Imu and Imu's divinity being cast upon them. Ami no Hibikiri will be able to work on these divine beings because it is a divine blade. It is the feathery cutter of heaven. And I'm sure a lot of these techniques are molded and intertwined to cut down these gods. Now it's the Straw Hats' turn to each learn an ability to take down the gods. And we haven't learned anything about Heaven World yet. We're in Elbaph, which a very rich and storied history where we're going to find out so much about the world. We just saw the mural, and Oda is taking his time to get us to Heaven World. Imu was here, and we haven't sniffed Heaven World yet. So something to think about is, why did Roger have something like Divine Departure? Why is Scopper? Why does he have something like Futenraku? These techniques are necessary to cut down these gods. Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji will definitely learn their divine attacks, probably more than likely in Heaven World. That's where I'm going with it. So then, for me, it starts to go even deeper when we talk about divine on another plane, right? Because even Heaven World, the translation, funny enough, for Viz, it's astral world, right? So if, let's say, in Heaven World, there are things that you probably cannot touch unless you have a specific form, specific rhythm, because music could play a part as well, right? In this astral world. Then I start thinking of outliers, right? These divine beings. And the glaring outlier to me, insanely enough, is Dracula Mihawk. We have no techniques by Dracula Mihawk. Absolutely none. However, he wears a cross. However, he has the eyes similar to Imu. I call those the possession eyes. Now, Mihawk, we know he became famous even before the Great Pirate Era. So he was special from the jump. So could Mihawk, a noble, not a former celestial dragon per se, but he's inherited a rare trait? Because something I was talking about as well is Conquerors HAKI and what it means, what it is. Really gives an explanation which implies that it is not, well, he says specifically it's not something you can train, but once you have it, it grows as you grow. But my thought process started to go to Conquerors HAKI. I look at it as a rare trait. If your parents have it, it's more likely that you can have it. And also, you can be born with it. But here's the thing. If you're born with Conquerors HAKI, or if you use Conquerors HAKI at any point, people are just going to be like, you're born with it. In general, no one will ever know if you just developed Conquerors HAKI through the way you've lived or the way you've just gone through life, because if you use it, automatically they're going to say, well, you were just born with it. So it Conquerors HAKI as a rare recessive trait. It is amplified if you have parents that have it. Obviously, Big Mom, Roger, Kaido, like they have kids that have Conquerors HAKI, or a kid that has Conquerors HAKI. But random people can have it. However, random people won't know they have it unless they make something of themselves. Either way, the point is, with Mihawk having those possession eyes, it could be a very rare recessive trait, comparatively speaking, that Mihawk had that amplifies his own power. But why is Mihawk an outlier when we go back to the heaven and things like that? For me, is his entire eyes, the cross, just how he goes about his business. I would not be shocked if Mihawk has abilities that are not only associated with the underworld, but associated with cutting through heaven. The Straw Hats, they've been running through the underworld. They've ran through the world. Now they're taking higher up. Takes me back to Doflamingo all over again, who I think is representative of so many different things that's happened throughout the One Piece story. His epithet is the heavenly demon, right? So ultimately, there's another level to get to, and that level is divine. Now you're battling gods. The Straw Hats don't know how to fight gods yet. Luffy doesn't even realize he is a god. So they have to learn how to do this. And what better place than the place with some of the most, if not the most rich lore and history, and there's literally a place called Heaven World. I think the writing is on the wall. I think more than likely that is next for Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji. In Heaven World, this is where they get the divine teaching, understanding of what divine means, where it could be music and fruits and rock or whatever, but I think it's specifically a technique or techniques that they will learn that will specifically affect those marked by either God or the devil, right? Because to even traverse through this abyss, this summoning, you need a mark, right? So it could be countering this, and we could have a situation where even underworld attacks could work on these people, like for Zoro being in the king of hell, or these divine attacks. I mean, I don't know. I was just thinking about it. I was like, yo, this is what it has to be. And Roger, of course, using divine departure, I don't think that's his strongest attack. I think it's just most symbolic, right? And that's one that he realized the impact and the importance of it. And I think it's time for Luffy to learn one of those, which means that Luffy is just scraping the ceiling of, not even scrape, he's not even close yet to where he could go, because he is embodiment of a god, not using any godly attacks yet. Like Luffy's still fighting as if he's in gear 4. He's just adding dawn whatever. Luffy, you can amplify your attacks way more, especially in this form. Astral pistol. Like I think it's about to get real, like, crazy for the top tiers when we talk about the Straw Hats. And even some of the other guys, some of the other Straw Hats. I don't want to dismiss them, but you know what I mean? This could all be much ado about nothing, because you have someone like Blackbeard who's, I mean, his entire theme revolves around darkness. And, you know, even the Yami literally takes away devil fruit powers. But I mean, we just have so many different examples of just heaven, hell, like, and how they counter and symbiotically work together, right? And so is that the key? Finding the balance between the underworld and the heaven world. What is the truth to all this? But I just wanted to give you guys my thoughts, like literally over cereal. I'm like, heaven world. Why haven't we gone there yet? Like, it's been next to nothing about something, a place called Heaven World? And everybody just traverses in the sun world. What's up there? I need to know. Imu's here, nothing about it. Yeah. Okay. I see what's going on here, Oda. We're going to find out a lot. But guys, give me your thoughts. How do you feel about it? What other connections can you make? We talk about divine, astral, heaven, how it intertwines. Of course, we can go to Skypiea and L. And let's say he's on the moon. He comes back down. He's using new techniques, divine techniques that he learned from the people on the moon, because those people have learned how to go against the gods. We talk about the Lunarians. And even those powers that they have, the durability. What if they're more susceptible to divine attacks? Because those attacks, again, are learned or taught and mastered to cut down gods. Immortality, or the imposters and copycats alike, the impersonators, whomever it is, they are affected by these divine attacks because of its unique form and even cadence and rhythm. Maybe I'm going too far off the deep end, but just let me know what you think. There's something there. You know, like the video, subscribe. Thank you to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. You guys always hold it down. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.